Good afternoon, students. Today I am here to give the explanation about our module 3, chapter 1, deadlocks. In that deadlocks, this is the today's agenda of this video. These are the total topics in this chapter 1. Today I am going to complete half of this topics. In this video I am going to complete half of this topics. First, what do you mean by deadlock? The formal definition for our deadlock is a situation where a set of processes are blocked because each process is holding a resource and waiting for another resource acquired by some other process. It is nothing but a deadlock condition occurs when any process needs two or more resources. By that time, if two process require same two resources means by that time one process will be holding one resource and another process is holding another resource means the process P1 is waiting for the second resource which is held by the process 2. By that time what happens, none of the process will get executed. In that situation you will call it as a deadlock. It means it will be holding one resource and waiting for another resource which is held by another process. By that time, none of the process will get executed. That situation you will call it as a deadlock. So let's see what is the principles of your deadlock. The first principle of your deadlock is mainly the deadlock problem occurs when you are using a multi-programmed system. If you are performing a single program system means there is no any other process or another process will holding the resources. So deadlock problem mainly occurs for the multi-programmed systems. A lack of process synchronization can result in two extreme conditions. Those are, one is your deadlock and another one is starvation. You already know about what do you mean by starvation. In your process synchronization and all, you came across this word starvation. What do you mean by that? Starvation is nothing but waiting state. It is nothing but if one process is executing in the processor means if another process should wait for the processor to execute the program. That waiting state you will call it as a starvation. And next principle of your deadlock is deadlock can be defined as a permanent blocking of a set of process that either complete for system resources. Deadlock is more serious than the starvation. In a simple word or in a simple use case, you can take an example for a deadlock as a you all know how to play the chess. I hope you all know how we will play the chess. In that uh, deadlock condition, how you relate is if there is a checkmate condition for the king, that is nothing but a deadlock condition. That you can't move anywhere. It is nothing but it is a permanent blocking. You are blocking the king. It cannot move to any of the place. That is nothing but the checkmate condition. That is you can relate that example to your deadlock. It is nothing but is a permanent blocking of set of processes that either complete for the system resources because none of the process is going to release the resource means uh, none of the process will execute completely or none of the process will complete its execution. That is one of the situation of your deadlock. In your deadlock you will be having a resources or of two types. One is reusable resource and another one is consumable resource. What do you mean by reusable resource? Reusable resource is nothing but if the operating system allocate any of the resource to your any if for one process, if operating system is allocated few resources means once the process is executed completely, then it has to release that resource, which can be usable or which can be used for other processes. That is nothing but your reusable resources. Some example for your reusable resources are processors, I/O channel, I/O devices, files, database, primary and secondary memory. Those are all and etc. Those are all the reusable resources. And next one is consumable resources. What do you mean by consumable resources? In a simple words, consumable resources means, for example, whatever you have, or whatever the variables you declared in that program, it will be helpful for you, or it will be helpful or limited only for that particular, for executing that particular instance or particular program. You can't consider the same variable in the next process, or for the next program without initializing that. That is nothing but your consumable resources. Some examples for your consumable resources is, and in your consumable resources is one that can be created and destroyed for the particular process, that you will call it as a consumable resources. And the example for your consumable resources is interrupts, messages, signals, and messages in IO buffers. Those are all few examples for your consumable resources. And next is process utilize the resources in the following sequence. How your process will utilize this resources? First one is your process will request for the resource. Once the request is allocated, it will use that resource. And next, once it is used by the process, or once the execution of your process is completed, by the time what it has to do, it has to release the resources. What are all the resources allocated to the particular process? Once the execution is done, it has to release the resources. This is the sequence how the process utilize the resources. And next one is, this is an example for your deadlock condition. Here you are considering the two process, and for the two process you are taking the two resources. You are considering the two resources. What is happening here? You can see here, the resource 1 is allocated to the process 1. It is assigned to process 1. But your process 1 is waiting for the resource of 2, waiting for resource 2. But that resource 2 is assigned to your process 2. And your process 2 is waiting for resource 1. This is how the chain, this is how your circular wait, or this is how circularly the process will be always in a waiting state. This is the deadlock condition. It is nothing but the process 1 is already holding the resource 1. Along with that, it is waiting to occupy the resource 2. This is the deadlock condition. None of the process will execute it. None of the process will complete the execution. Your process 2 wants resource 2. Your process 1 wants resource 2. Your process 2 wants resource 1. So until the process 1 releases the resource 1, process 2 cannot be executed. Until the resource 2 is released by process 2, your process 1 cannot be executed. This is the deadlock condition. This is how your deadlock will be worked for your different processes in multi-programmed systems. And next is your resource allocation graph. You are allocating the n number of resources for the process, means you have to make it in a group, or you have to represent that what all the resources are allocated for each and every process. How you will identify that? How you will consider what all the resources are allocated for the particular processes? First one is vertices. In that vertices, you will be having a two types. One is process vertex and another one is resource vertex. Process vertex is nothing but number of processes you are going to, number of process which is generated, and for each and every process you have to assign the resource. This is the resource vertex. In this resource vertex, you will be having a two types. One is single instance and another one is multiple instance. You will be specifying, or you will be denoting that instance in this form. It should be within the rectangular box. If there is only one single dot, means you are making use of a single instance. If you are making use of a if you are representing three dots or more than one dot within the rectangular, means within the rectangular box, means you are making use of multiple instances. This is how your These are the two types of your resource vertex, and best example for your single instance is CPU. For multiple instance it is registers. And next one is your edges. Edge is nothing but how you are going to assign the, I mean, what are the process, what is the process of assigning or requesting for the resource. So how it will be done? There are in edges there will be two types. One is assign edge and another one is request edge. Assign edge is nothing but if the resource is allocated to the particular process, it is nothing but it is an assigned resource is assigned to the particular process. That is your assign edge. The request edge is nothing but the process is requesting for the resource. That is your request edge. And as I said you before, as I explain show you in the before diagram, in your resource vertex you will be having a two types. One is single instance and another one is multiple instance. In single instance, this is how I said that within the square bracket, if you are representing only one single dot, means you are making use of single instance. What is happening here, as I explained in the previous diagram, your resource R1 is holding by your P1 process, or R1 resource is assigned to the P1 process, but your P1 process is waiting for the resource R2. But that resource R2 is holding by process P2, and process P2 is waiting for resource R1 to complete its execution. This is the single instance resource type. This is how the deadlock will happen if you are making use of a single instance. In this, you are making use of single instance itself, but you are considering, in the previous example, you consider the only two process. What happened there? It will be in the circular, in these two process will be executing in the circular way. By that time, your deadlock will happen. But in this, what you are making is, you are considering three process, P1, P2 and P3. Here also you are making use of single instance, but there is no any circular process. What happens? Your P1 process will execute completely, because what is the requirement here? Your P1 process is holding R1. It is not requesting for any other resources. So your P1 process will get execute. There is no any circular connection between that. And what is the next one? Your P2 process. P2 process is holding the resource R2. Our P2 process will execute completely because it is not requesting for any of the process. It is not waiting for any other resources. But what happens here? Your P3 process will be in the waiting state. Until the P1 and P2 process completes its execution, P3 process cannot be executed because it is waiting for the resources which is already allocated to the other processes. This is how single instance resources will be executed without deadlock condition. And your next type of resource vertex is multi-instance. How your multi-instance will work? This is multi-instance. This diagram represents the multi-instance but without any deadlocks. What happens here? Here this is an single instance. This is a single instance. In this, what happened? R1 resource is assigned to the process P1, and P1 process is waiting for R2. But what happens here? Your R2 resource is a multi-instance. For that reason, one resource from R2 is allocating to the process P2, but another one resource from R2 is allocating to the process P3. This is how you can resolve the deadlock condition. This is a multi-instance without deadlocks. But for this instance, you have to write the allocation resources and the request resources. For each and every process, if the R1 and R2 are two resources you are considering here, you have to write allocation resources. What are the allocation resources? For example, here R1 is allocated to which process? Your P1 process. Your P1 process is allocated to your R1 resource is allocated to P1 process. So you are considering 1 if it is unallocated. If it is not allocated, if it your resource 2 is not allocated to P1, so you are considering it as a 0. This is how you have to write the value. You have to write the allocation resource table. Next, for your P2 resource, your P2 resource is not allocated for R1 resource is not allocated for P2 process, so this will become 0. And what about the next resource? Your R2 resource is allocated for P2 process, so you are taking it as a 1. Now your R1 resource is not allocated to P3, so you are taking it as a 0. In the same, R2 resources allocated for the P3, so you are considering it as a 1. Now this is the request resource. This is the previous table what you have completed, that is the allocation resource. It is nothing but which are all the resources allocated for each and every process. You are specifying that. Here P1 process, if the P1 process is requesting for any other resource, means you will be taking that, you will be considering that resource as 1. If it is not requesting or if it is not waiting for the other resource, means you will be taken or you will be consider it as a 0. Here P1 process is already allocating the resource R1, so it is not waiting or it is not requesting for the R1 resource, so it is 0. In this P1 process, it is waiting for or it is requesting for R2 resource, so you will be considering this as a 1. What about P2? P2 process, it is requesting for the resource R1, so you are considering it as a 1. But R2 resource is already allocated for P2, so you are considering this as a 0. Now what is the next one? P3. P3 is not requesting or waiting for resource R1, so you are considering this as a 0. And what about R2 resource? R2 resource is already allocated for P3. It is not waiting or requesting for the R2 resource. So you have to consider this as a 0. Hope you all clear about how to write the allocation resource table and the request resource table. So we will check for the next condition. This is the multi-instance with deadlock condition. It is nothing but you are executing the process in a circular motion. Everything is same what I explained in the previous one, but here the P3 process again it is requesting for R1 process. So what happened by that time? Your deadlock condition will get executed or it will arrive. So can you fill this allocation resource? R1 is already allocated, so 1. R2 it is not allocated, so 0. Again here everything remains same except your P3 process. P3 process allocation of R2 is equal to 1. Here the value will differ in the P3 process. What about P2? R1 it is requesting, R2 it is 0. P3 R1 it is requesting, R3 becomes 0. This is how you have to write the allocation resource and the request resource table. And your next topic is starvation. What do you mean by starvation? As I said you before, the waiting time of each and every process. If there is a very large waiting time for your process, for a single process to execute or execute, means that is nothing but starvation. The starvation problem which is closely related to both live lock and the deadlock. There are two main terminologies. One is including this, there are mainly three terminologies in the deadlock. One is deadlocks, live lock, and another one is starvation. The live lock is not, what do you mean by live lock? Live lock is nothing but it is similar to the deadlock, but in the deadlock it is an move which cannot be The deadlock is a permanent blocking, but in the live lock it is not a permanent blocking. You can change, if it is in your live lock, you can change the states, and you can allocate the resources. That is your live lock. But deadlock means it is an permanent blocking condition. Starvation is a problem that occurs when high priority process keep executing. What happens if you already know about the priority scheduling process, right? In that which is having the highest priority, that process will keep executing. If for example your burst time of your highest priority process is very high, means until the completion of that burst time, the other process has to be in a waiting state. That is nothing but the starvation of other processes will be very more. That is when the starvation problem will occurs. But it is differ from your deadlock. Starvation will have starvation is nothing but the process will wait for some time. It may be the waiting time is more, or waiting time may be the lesser, but the process will get executed at the end. But the deadlock condition is, it is a permanently blocking condition. You can't predict that, or you can't expect that process will execute. But in starvation, now or after some time, your process will get executed. That is the difference between your starvation and the deadlock. Your next topic is difference between deadlock and the starvation. What are all the common difference between your deadlock and the starvation? Deadlock is a situation where no process got blocked and no process proceeds. It is nothing but it is waiting for some resources. You not even blocking that process, and at the same time you are not even executing any of the process. That is your deadlock condition. But in your starvation, it is a situation where a low priority process got blocked and the high priority processes proceeds. It is nothing but your other processes will keep waiting, but some of the operation is going will be happening in the processor. But in deadlock condition, it won't allow other process to execute, and it won't execute too. That is our deadlock condition. Deadlock is an infinite waiting time. Starvation is long waiting but not infinite. Every deadlock is always a starvation, but every starvation need not to be a deadlock. That is the difference. And next difference is, the requested resource is blocked by other processes. The requested resource is continuously be used by higher priority processes. If lower priority process is already holding the resource, means it can be assigned to the highest priority process to complete its execution. That what happens in your starvation. And the next point is, deadlock happens when mutual exclusion, hold and wait, no preemption, and circular wait occurs simultaneously. I will explain you what about those terminologies in further in the next in the upcoming class. And starvation means it occurs due to the uncontrolled priority and resource management. The best example for your starvation process is in your general use case example is, if you are traveling through any of the vehicle. If you are traveling in a vehicle, means for example, consider there is a double you are going on a NH or a double road, but at all of a sudden, if you want to cross a bridge, means always a bridge will be most of the time the bridge will be just like a one way road, right? By the time what happens, if which is having the highest priority, it is nothing but from the two ends, also from the two ends there are a number of vehicles will be there. There should be a mutual understanding between the persons, or between the persons who are riding that vehicle. If one vehicle is passed from right to left, means they should allow the next vehicle to pass from left to right. That is nothing but mutual understanding. If there is no mutual understanding, means by the time what happens, if the both from the both side both vehicles come enter to the bridge means none of the vehicle can't move anywhere. When the starvation happens is if there is a mutual understanding, or if from at least from one side the vehicles are keep moving means once it is end, once the road is clear from the other hand means another hand another end, from the another end the vehicles can move easily. If there is no mutual understanding means if both the vehicles enter from the two end point means by that time you will consider it as deadlocks. These are the major difference between your deadlock and the starvation. Next is deadlock characteristics. What are the deadlock characteristics? It is nothing but in what are all the conditions your deadlock will occur. These are the necessary conditions for occurring the deadlock. One is mutual exclusion, hold and wait, no preemption, circular wait. These are the four major conditions or major reasons why the deadlock will occur. What do you mean by mutual exclusion? Mutual exclusion, as I said you, the resource may be acquired exclusively by one process at a time. It is nothing but a process or resource cannot be shared when there is, if you are making use of a single instance, if the resource is having a, if the resource already assigned to another process means that is nothing but only the resource is allocated for a single process at a single instance of time. That is your mutual exclusion. And next one is hold and wait. As I explained you about the deadlock diagram, if P1 process is holding the resource R1, still it is waiting for R2. By that time when this condition occurs, the deadlock will, when this condition satisfied, then the deadlock will occur. And non-preemption, you all know about non-preemption. Once the process has obtained a resource, the system cannot remove it from the process control until the process has finished its execution. It is nothing but once the process is assigned to the processor, until its execution none of the process can preempt that process. That is our non-preemption. Next one is circular wait. A circular chain of hold and wait condition exists in the system. In multi-programming system, circular wait condition will work. It will. It is nothing but in a circular chain of hold and wait will occur in the system. These four are the major conditions or major reasons for occurring of deadlocks. Deadlock will be happen when these four, mutual exclusion, hold and wait, non-preemption and circular wait, these four will occur at the same time. If any one of the condition fails, then it won't apply for the deadlock condition. Then it is you can't consider it as a deadlock condition. All four conditions should satisfy, then only the situation or the then only that process you call it as a deadlock. That is the deadlock characteristics, necessary conditions for your deadlocks. These four are the major necessary conditions. Those four conditions should satisfy, then only the deadlock can occur. Once the deadlock occur, what is the solution? How you can what are all the solution you can provide for that deadlock situation? First one is deadlock prevention. Next is deadlock avoidance. Next is your deadlock detection. The last one is deadlock recovery. What you can do when you feel like deadlock will be going to occur, you can try to prevent that deadlock, or in your use case you can consider if you are feeling something like if you are not feeling well, if you had that sense you are going to be sick, or some intimations will be given by your body, right? If you are not feeling well, you are feeling sick, like that, Once it is occurred, or once you sense that, by the time, if you take the precautions, or if you can take the anti if you can take the precautions over that, then you can avoid that particular whatever sickness or any other diseases. That is your deadlock prevention. That is the one solution. And the next one is deadlock avoidance. Deadlock can be avoided by clearly identifying the safe states and unsafe states. I will in upcoming topics, I will explain you what do you mean by safe state and what do you mean by unsafe state. But for the instance, deadlock can be avoided by clearly identifying the safe states and the unsafe states. And next one is deadlock detection. Deadlock detection method are used in the system in which deadlocks can occur. There are few methods which can, using those methods you can detect whether the deadlock is going to occur or not. Next one is deadlock recovery. Once the deadlock is occurred, you have to get resolve that deadlock. So use it to resolve the deadlock from a system. That is your deadlock recovery. That is these four are the deadlock solutions. Next is your deadlock prevention. What do you mean by deadlock prevention? As I said to you before, in your there are four characteristics or four conditions. If any of the condition failed, then you can't deadlock, you can consider that as a deadlock condition. So prevention is nothing but you can take care, you sure the OS or operating system should take care. If any one of this condition fails, if any one of this condition fails, means obviously you can prevent the deadlock condition. That is what it means. Mutual exclusion. If there is no mutual understanding, or if P1 process is holding the resource R1, the P2 process is required to execute the P1 process, means if there is a mutual understanding, if there is a mutual understanding between your P1 process and P2 process, means if any one of the process releases the resource, means other process can execute. Once it is executed, that will also release the processes, or that will also release the resources. By that time, another process, the next process can be executed. That is your mutual exclusion. Next is hold and wait. If you are holding something, if you are already one process is having one resource, still it is not capable to execute the resource. It is still waiting for another resource, means that is of no use. None of the process can be executed in the processor. That is your hold and wait condition. You already know about non-preemption. Once the process enters to the processor, none of the processors should preempt that process. That is one non-preemption. Circular wait is continuous chain, the circular chain of hold and wait condition. If any one of these condition fails, then you can avoid, or then the deadlock can be preempted. Then the deadlock can be take the precaution by making any one of the conditions should fail by your operating system. This is about today's video. From I will give you the details, or I will explain the further topics in your next video. Please go through the topics. If you have any doubt, revert me back.